Here's your last photography assignment. I've made it a choice board. I've changed it up a little bit. For your last big project, what I need you to do is you're going to watch this entire presentation and then kind of make some choices. And then I'm going to have you post in a discussion which approach you're going to take so I can kind of get a feel for who's doing what. I tried to make it so that there was hopefully something for everyone. Our projects need to be complete by May 13th. That's kind of the end of the line as we're starting to finish up, do some final check-ins, and submit last work. So you have all of these options: a stylized pet portrait, a show me option, the social documentary, the Insta famous, and the Ice Ice Baby. So I'm going to go through every one of those currently. So each one of these projects has a couple different components. The first component is that research component where you're going to review and look at all of the links and everything that I've given you before you kind of dive into your project. You're going to submit a total of 5 to 7 images, or in some cases a video. So it's a series project. You're going to be showing me both edited and unedited versions. And in the last few slides, I have a couple tips on how to save those. You're going to give me a rationale for your project, and then we're going to share them on Padlet for everyone. So the first project is a little bit different than your traditional pet portraits. This is a stylized pet portrait versus a snapshot. So you're going to be using potentially lamps, window lighting, some backdrops, and doing some kind of fun things. So for each project, I have some guiding questions for you to kind of think about as you're starting to think, is this the project that I want to choose? Again, I have what you need to turn in, your 5 to 7 images, your statement about your work, the how and the why, and then where you're going to turn it in. So that's going to be consistent for every single project. For your stylized pet portraits, here's some of the research that I've given you. I have a really good article featuring several different pet portrait people. This is an LA photographer who does some really interesting family and commercial pet portraits. And this is William Wegman, who is probably one of the first people to work with pets in this type of way. I thought this might hit some of you to kind of get you started. But look at those links, peruse, look at all of the links before you make some decisions, because you might see something in the links that gives you some different ideas. The second option is show me. This is that instructional tutorial. Think about what it is that you want to show me that you can do, and you're going to either show me the step-by-steps in a series or in a kind of like how-to instructional video. So if you look at the images that I posted up here in the top, this image is obviously, I mean, they're doing the same thing. They're both kneading bread. So the action is the same, but you can see this picture is much stronger than this picture. This picture has some distractions in it, and the light isn't as consistent. So we want really strong pictures or video images for our instructional series. I will add those guiding questions in there. So to give you some ideas, I have a student sample. This was done on an Adobe Spark website. Yours does not have to be, but you can see the written component for this was really important. So as you can kind of see in that student's example, and the photographs were just really nice. This is a link to Instructables. It's a great resource to get you started in terms of thinking about what could I potentially do. It's all DIY stuff. However, a lot of the photographs or the videos are really not great. So really thinking about how can I make a strong photograph and communicate what people need to know in order to do this, like the bread example. And then this is Dwayne Michaels. He's considered the father of that kind of narrative photography. So this is kind of how he put a couple different samples together, so you can look there. Option 3 is a social documentary. Think about really documenting the sign of your times currently. This could be done in a video, or it could be done in still images. It's totally up to you. But really thinking about what's my daily life, what's become my new normal. There's a lot of images out there. This is actually a student example from New York. There's a lady from the East Coast in a photo group that I'm in, and lots of people are submitting student work to her as part of this project. Here's a couple different examples. This is a great video on Dorothea Lange that's through the Museum of Modern Art. If you scroll down a smidge as you get to the website, there's like maybe a 2-minute video showing her work and talking about it. This is a New York Times article that Sierra had sent me, so thank you. I hadn't seen it until she sent it. It has a list of maybe like 12 photographers, and you can see how they're documenting their life. And the really interesting thing about this is the images and then the text that go along with them. So I think that text can become really important for a documentarian. And then this I added in there because I think it's so important. Some of you, if you are really liking it, if you like Dorothea Lange, you might want to tune into this. These are two different artists who are going to be talking about Dorothea Lange. Sally Mann was one of the photographers that you chose as a winner this past, like I think maybe it was last week. So that's kind of like a once in a lifetime chance. I believe it's at 7 because it's 8 o'clock Eastern time. So you can log on to YouTube and watch it. Great opportunity for the social documentary. Insta-famous, your next option. Look at Instagram. I know some of you are really do a lot with Instagram. Some of you don't. So maybe this is your time to maybe dive in if it's something that you might want to do. So what you're going to do is you're going to look through your camera roll. You're going to look through, if you have an Instagram, what are the things that you're liking? And you're going to focus on like choosing one style of imagery and really think about how can I improve on that? What do I want to do? So find a photographer that's going to, or a style that's going to influence you. So for this one, you need at least 2 photographers working in that style. I will add that in there that you have to share with me. So I can see like, hey, these are the people that influenced me versus the people that I just copied. So this is really all about that influence and how you're personalizing that. So I have some resources for you here. This is an article highlighting top photographers on Instagram. This one is nice because it's photographers in the United States. I think that narrows it down. Sometimes it's great to look at, gosh, what are the people doing in Belize, right? We don't have access to that. That's not our reality. So the US one I think is nice. And then this is an interesting, I have 2 articles kind of like why Instagram, why would you use Instagram, like the benefits and pitfalls of using Instagram. So I thought it was a really good research to add to your Instagram. Remember though, with the Instagram, what you are doing is you're turning in, I'm going to add it in here. I want to see who are the 2 Instagram people that you are being influenced by. So that's another important component. The last option is Ice Baby. So if you're somebody who really likes still lifes and kind of having control over all of your pictures, maybe this is the object for you or the assignment for you. So you're going to look for small visual things that you can use to put in ice, to put in water and freeze, and take some pictures using some backdrops, using maybe some lamps or some window lightings or shooting outside. So I have a couple different samples here. This one is a presentation linked with lots of different information and resources. Lighting, you can see the setups. And then this is a great article from Digital Photography School. I thought this was great. You can kind of see how they're like, they have this object in ice, but now they're using the water to kind of shape that ice. So kind of a fun, different way. It gives you a little bit more control, but lighting's going to be key here. As you think about all of these projects, really think about what do you want to showcase at the end? What do you kind of want to dive into? My goal is that these would be something, if they're finished a little bit early, like the 10th-ish, we would be able to get them up in the art show. We could still post them on Facebook after. I think it's important that you think about how can I end on my, like with my best note by choosing a project that I think is going to highlight my skills and still push me a little bit out of my comfort zone to show that growth. When you are naming your pictures, because I want you to hand in your unedited and your edited images so I can see how are you editing, how are you changing, what decisions are you making in that process, I think is going to be really important. So here's kind of how you would save the unedited images. So don't just give me like a JPEG. You're never going to remember which is which. And I want to make sure that they kind of go together when you turn them in on Canvas. So I have my last name, and then I have UE for unedited. And then I have the number, because if I'm doing 5 through 7, I want to make sure that number, then they come in order so that I can post them in order. And then my edited image final will be my last name. F for a final image, meaning it's been edited, it's completely done, and then the number. So use those naming conventions to help you out. So as you're working, if you have questions, I will make a discussion spot for you to post what you're going to do and why, which I think is important to share, especially if you can connect like, oh, I'm doing this project too. Maybe it's something that you could potentially talk to each other about as we finish this semester. I look forward to hearing from you. And if you have questions, please ask.